One day, as I went outside to hang the laundry, I noticed mackerel clouds in the sky, a sure sign of fall's arrival. It looks like it's going to be another hot day, I thought to myself, and my gaze inadvertently drifted towards a separate house. On the same property as our home, there is this separate house where my son Michael, his wife Sophia, and their son Liam, a family of 3, live. It seems that every time Sophia comes to our house, she takes with her household items such as toilet paper, detergent, and shampoo, and even money from my wallet without my knowledge. However, since I had never witnessed such incidents and had no concrete proof, I couldn't say anything. The household expenses were rapidly depleting, so I decided to take up a part-time job. Of course, I tried talking to Michael about Sophia's behavior, but he wouldn't take it seriously. Therefore, we decided to have a discussion when my husband David, who is working away from home, returns once a month. The meeting would include my husband, myself, Michael, and our grandson Liam. It seems Sophia will join us later. I mentioned that money was disappearing from my wallet.
Are you saying Sophia did this? Let's not exaggerate.
At that moment, David quietly placed his smartphone on the table and displayed footage from the surveillance camera installed in our home. On the screen, in a well-lit corner of the living room, Sophia was caught red-handed. She had found my wallet in my bag, extracted a few bills, and returned the wallet to its place. Michael was taken aback.
But I've been giving her enough for living expenses. Why would she do this?
Even after all this, don't you notice anything? Michael seemed startled by my words. He stormed out of the house, heading straight for the separate house. He dragged her back to our house. There, Sophia was shown the surveillance footage, and her face turned pale. My name is Lisa Smith. I'm a 60-year-old homemaker. My husband, David, is away on business, and he only returns about once a month. Both of us are well past the midpoint of our lives, and we'd like to live peacefully. However, it seems that's not so straightforward. When David was assigned to work alone, he seemed a bit disappointed and confided in me quietly.
Lisa, I've been assigned to work alone, so I'll be living by myself starting next month. They want me to oversee the team at the new branch office.
David has always been admired at work for being a caring and brotherly figure. Indeed, he is very attentive, not just at work, but also at home. I remember when our son Michael was just born, David eagerly took on tasks like preparing milk and changing diapers. Even though he couldn't take parental leave, he made sure to nap with Michael on weekends and during summer vacations. As Michael grew up, David taught him and took him to the park regularly. So, it's unusual to see dependable David feeling down like this. David, you don't need to be so disheartened. After all, you can come back soon, right? I had assumed he'd return in roughly 2 to 3 months.
That's the thing. I don't know exactly how long it'll be. Since it involves crossing state lines, I won't be able to see you frequently. I'll only be able to come back about once a month, and that's why I'm worried about you.
Why was he concerned about my well-being? For a moment, I wondered, but then it hit me. I have a chronic illness, and I'd recently undergone surgery. Perhaps he was worried about how this might affect me. It's okay. Michael and Sophia are nearby in the separate house, and if anything happens, I'll get in touch. On our property, there's a separate house where Michael, his wife Sophia, and their son Liam live. Michael got married 6 years ago and initially lived in an apartment for about 2 to 3 years. However, due to the landlord's circumstances, he had to move out of the apartment. Eventually, they came to ask if they could live in the separate house. David was not keen on the idea and initially refused.
Michael, you know Mom has health issues. I don't want to burden her, so I'm against it.
Once, David had turned him away with those words, but when there was less than a month left until eviction, Michael returned. He looked considerably weakened.
Dad, please, I won't cause any more trouble. Just let us live in the separate house.
Perhaps his perspective had changed by then, as David consented to Michael's family living in the separate house. When I later asked for the reason, David explained that he felt more at ease having them close by, rather than leaving me alone. It's been about 3 years since then, and there's no sign of them leaving. They continue to reside in the separate house. To reassure David, I put on a cheerful tone. I'm fine. The post-surgery recovery is going well, and I'm taking my medication properly. David suggested installing surveillance cameras.
Let's add some security cameras. The newer ones have better performance and even come with temperature sensors, which could help prevent heat stroke.
You're worrying too much. I chuckled, trying to ease his worries. Later, David did indeed set up surveillance cameras, linking them to an app on his smartphone. I was surprised at first, but since they were positioned high up, they didn't bother me much. Within a week, David left reluctantly, and now I live alone in a house that feels almost too spacious. By the way, I hadn't mentioned this to David, but there was something bothering me. It concerned Michael's wife, Sophia. Despite being a full-time homemaker, she frequently left Liam with me and went out somewhere. Occasionally meeting up with mom friends for lunch is understandable, but was it really necessary to do so that often? Moreover, when Liam occasionally came to our house with her, she always seemed to take something with her.
Lisa, I'm taking some toilet paper with me.
At first, it was just that, so I didn't pay much attention. But gradually, it escalated to household items like detergent, shampoo, and body wash. There was even a time when she tried to take some dishes. She did return the dishes, but still, it was odd. Sophia, are you struggling financially to the point where you can't afford basic items?
Huh? No, not at all.
Well then, why do you feel the need to take things from our home?
It's about saving. With Liam around, there'll be additional expenses down the line. I want to start saving now. So, I thought you'd be supportive, and maybe even provide a little extra assistance.
She said it nonchalantly, waved her hand flippantly, and went out again. Sophia was always stylish, talked about going to esthetician appointments, and even had her nails done. But was she truly saving money as she claimed? Michael works diligently from early morning until late at night, and there have been no discussions about financial difficulties. Although I'm curious about her intentions, I refrain from meddling in my son's marital affairs. I don't want to be an overbearing mother-in-law. Meanwhile, my wallet has been gradually losing money, and I suspect Sophia might be behind it. However, lacking concrete evidence and unable to catch her in the act, time slips away. One day, as I went outside to hang the laundry, I noticed mackerel clouds in the sky, a sure sign of fall's arrival. It looks like it's going to be another hot day, I thought to myself, and my gaze inadvertently drifted towards a separate house. Curiously, I've never witnessed Sophia behaving suspiciously, even though I still wonder if she's involved. However, various neighbors have shared unfavorable rumors about her. They claim she walks around town dressed as if she's going to a nightclub, or seen walking intimately with a young man, but I'm quite skeptical. Indeed, she is fashionable, but I've only ever seen her in outfits that one would find in fashion magazines, and she doesn't strike me as someone who would have an affair. Even when she's at the separate house, there are times she's just in her pajamas, so I simply can't imagine Sophia gallivanting about. However, the fact that there are people who have actually witnessed her behavior suggests that there might be an unknown side to Sophia that I'm unaware of. Even as I kept an eye out, money continued to disappear from my wallet. As my living expenses dwindled, I decided to start working part-time until I could gather concrete evidence. I told David it was for a change of pace, but he worried quite a bit. Eventually, he agreed under the condition that I wouldn't overexert myself. Fortunately, I noticed a nearby supermarket hiring cashiers, so I contacted them and went for an interview. Just to be sure, I discussed it with Michael as well. As the day of my first shift approached, I informed Michael, "Michael, listen, I'll be starting a part-time job next week."
Why? You just got out of the hospital, and your body is still recovering.
It's only about 3 days a week. I'll be fine. But more importantly, it's about Sophia. I decided to take a chance and talk to Michael about Sophia's behavior, thinking he might say something that could lead to some progress.
What's wrong with Sophia?
Well, lately, she's been taking things from my home, like toilet paper, shampoo, and other everyday items. Could it be that you're having financial difficulties? But Michael was clearly upset.
That's not true. I consistently contribute money every month, and Sophia handles the finances. She used to work in accounting, after all. So, she manages our household expenses properly.
Well, is that so? But she really is taking things from my home. And about the money.
Money? Are you saying Sophia is taking it?
Michael looked at me with a puzzled expression. Yes, little by little, money is disappearing from my wallet. She probably thinks she hasn't been caught yet, but this ongoing situation is troubling for me. Could you subtly mention it to her too?
Mom, are you losing your mind? Even so, that's impossible.
Michael sighed heavily, seemingly unwilling to believe me, and from then on, he wouldn't entertain any further discussion. The next day, I informed Sophia about my decision to start working part-time and explained that it would be difficult for me to continue looking after Liam. This conversation happened just when Sophia had asked if I could take care of Liam for her. Sophia scowled and complained.
Huh? Then who will look after Liam?
Sophia, let me be clear. Please take care of your own child. Why do you always leave Liam with me and go somewhere? Where are you going? When I asserted myself, Sophia let out a small sigh and glared at me.
Fine, fine. I understand. I won't ask anymore.
Without answering my question, she pulled Liam's hand and retreated into the separate house. Nervous, I felt a cold sweat on my back. From that day on, only Liam would come over, cheerfully calling,
"Grandma, let's play."
I welcomed Liam into the house, exasperated by Sophia's predictable absence. Perhaps once I started my part-time job, she would change her ways. With that faint hope, I spent the week. And then came my first day at work. The short shift ran from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Having been a homemaker for so long, I felt nervous returning to work. Despite the simple title of cashier, the responsibilities and learning curve were multifaceted. Armed with a notepad and pen, I learned the ropes from a young female cashier. She was in her 20s, far more composed than I was, and efficiently explained everything, from loyalty cards to self-checkout. Her name tag also bore a golden badge that read Customer Service Master, and her demonstration of register procedures was impressive. There were so many things I needed to learn that my mind was spinning. I have to get this down pat, I told myself as I made my way home, finally reaching the gate of my house. As I rummaged through my bag for the house key, I noticed Liam standing in front of my gate. Curious, I approached him cautiously. Unaware that my previous thoughts had vanished, I called out to him, "Liam, what are you doing here?" Startled by his name, Liam looked up. Tears welled in his eyes, and his runny nose accompanied his sobs. Surprised, I quickly retrieved a pocket tissue from my bag and wiped away his tears and mucus. "What's wrong? Did something sad happen?" Liam explained that he had been waiting here all day for me to come out of the house. But since I hadn't emerged, he asked his mother.
"Grandma isn't here because she went to work."
Upon hearing this, Liam felt devastated and had been crying here. He looked up at me with his runny nose and tear-streaked face.
Why did Grandma have to leave? Is it because of my job that I can't play with you anymore?
I was taken aback by his words. Job? What job are you talking about? Liam handed me a small piece of paper, saying,
This?
Unfolding it, I read Sophia's handwriting. Liam's job: transfer money from Grandma's wallet to Mom's wallet once a day. The instruction left me wide-eyed. Huh? I stammered, staring alternately at the words and Liam's face. Trembling, I asked, Liam, did Mom tell you to do this? He nonchalantly replied,
Yep. Mom said it's my job. I'm supposed to be responsible. Mom gave me this paper.
While my face almost twitched with the effort, I managed to invite Liam inside, where he gulped down juice. His innocent enjoyment contrasted sharply with my shock. I couldn't believe that Sophia would involve such a young child in stealing money. Could this really be happening? I had no concrete evidence. When could this have happened? I've been keeping an eye on Liam all along, and it's not easy to lose sight of a 5-year-old. How could he have taken money from my wallet without me noticing? Suddenly, something clicked in my mind. That night, I contacted David and explained the situation.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not accusing Liam, but I'll check the surveillance camera footage.
David listened attentively without any doubt. 3 days later, he contacted me.
Hello, Lisa. I've discovered something serious.
What? I was taken aback. It seemed Liam was indeed the culprit, but what shocked me even more was that the surveillance footage captured Sophia instructing Liam on how to take money from my wallet. Indeed, I hadn't told her about the surveillance camera, but even so, to steal someone's money in broad daylight is just outrageous.
I am planning to visit you this weekend. This is unacceptable. Let's talk to Michael and Sophia.
Yes, that's right, I replied, my heart heavy. But now that I knew the truth, I had to address it properly. Despite spending these days leading up to the weekend in a somber mood, the distraction of my part-time job allowed me to momentarily forget the situation. And so, the weekend arrived. Although the weather forecast had predicted a direct hit from a typhoon, it veered westward, leaving our area with clear skies. However, despite the sunny weather, a storm brewed within our home. David took an earlier train than usual to discuss the matter. His expression showed traces of weariness, yet an unmistakable anger simmered beneath the surface. I sensed that today would be tumultuous. As soon as David returned, he walked toward the separate house and urgently summoned Michael and Sophia. However, only Michael and Liam arrived. Seated across the living room table, David and I faced Michael and Liam.
Michael, what's going on with Sophia? Didn't I tell her to come too?
Well, she said she'd come later.
The heavy atmosphere seemed to trip up Michael's response. As if mocking the tension, the ice cubes in the glass beside him clinked together.
I wanted to talk to her too. Actually, I especially wanted to talk to her. But never mind. First, I'll tell you, Sophia has been taking things from this house.
Michael looked taken aback.
I've heard that from Mom before. But it's not like she takes a lot or does it frequently, right? Besides, Sophia said she received those things from you, Mom.
Well, she may say she received them, but I didn't give them to her out of goodwill. She forcibly takes them, saying that she needs to save money for Liam's future expenses and that it would be okay for me to help out.
Huh? Is Sophia really doing something like that?
And about the money disappearing from my wallet.
Wait, are you saying Sophia is acting like a thief? Enough with the jokes.
At that moment, David pulled out his smartphone and placed it quietly on the table.
This isn't a joke. There's evidence of Sophia instructing Liam to take money, and the surveillance footage shows Liam removing money from Lisa's wallet every day.
Michael looked stunned. On the screen, in a bright corner of our living room, Sophia rummaged through my bag, found my wallet, and discreetly removed several bills before returning the wallet to my bag. She then showed the money to Liam, crouching down as if teaching him something. Although the conversation was fragmented, it revolved around,
Money is like this. Take this much from Grandma's wallet.
Liam nodded resolutely,
Got it.
and Sophia hugged him tightly. Watching this scene unfold, Michael was left speechless, fixated on David's smartphone screen. David explained,
This footage is from the surveillance camera I installed due to concerns about Lisa's illness. I never imagined it would be useful in such a way. Besides, there's more. The footage shows Liam taking money from Lisa's wallet.
David manipulated his smartphone, displaying another video. Although I couldn't pinpoint when Liam had been taking money, this footage finally revealed the truth. As I stood up to take my medication, Liam swiftly extracted cash from my wallet. The timing coincided with my regular medication schedule, making it easy for even a young child like Liam.
What? I trusted her.
It's despicable to involve an innocent child in wrongdoing. She should be ashamed.
David, who rarely displayed anger, spoke sternly. Michael flinched, and Liam looked visibly distressed.
But I provide enough for living expenses. Why would you do this, Liam?
Liam hesitated before answering.
Mom's job is giving money to a man, so she said it's not enough.
A man?
Yeah, Mom always puts on makeup and goes somewhere. But I'm not allowed to go. So I stay with Grandma.
Michael scrutinized Liam with suspicion. His expression conveyed confusion, Could Sophia be involved in an affair? The room was charged with tension. Even after all I've said, you still don't get it? Michael, startled by my words, bolted out of the house with a furious look, dashed towards the separate house, and before I knew it, he was dragging Sophia back with him.
Hey, that hurts. Let go.
Sophia protested, while Liam, bewildered by the situation, looked on, his eyes welling up with tears.
Sophia, what's going on? Explain. Why would you steal money from Mom's wallet when I provide enough for living expenses? And why involve Liam in this?
Sophia stared at Michael, her expression a mix of shock and evasion. Her eyes seemed to ask how he knew.
What are you talking about? Is there any proof that I did such a thing?
Although Sophia dismissed the idea of evidence, Michael presented David's smartphone, placing it on the table.
This is the evidence. You had Liam do the same, right? The footage shows Liam taking money from Mom's wallet every day. And during the day, where were you, leaving Liam with Mom? Were you having an affair with a man?
Sophia's face turned pale as she watched the screen. Perhaps realizing the jig was up, she clung to Michael, confessing that it wasn't infidelity but rather her frequent visits to an escort club.
I'm sorry. At first, it was just for fun. Liam and I spend so much time alone during the day, and the stress of having Lisa nearby was suffocating. I thought I'd do it just once for a change.
But it escalated. Once a month, twice, 3 times. She got deeper and deeper into it.
I had no choice. I wanted to have fun too. But for that, I needed money. I wanted to spend it on my favorite man. I can't work because of Liam, and the allowance Michael gives me isn't nearly enough.
Even so, stealing money from Mom's wallet is no different from being a thief.
I apologize. I won't go anymore. I won't visit the escort club anymore. I'll return the stolen money. Please forgive me. I beg you.
Sophia pleaded tearfully with Michael, but he seemed furious and unyielding.
No! Absolutely not. We're getting a divorce.
But
despite her tearful pleas, Michael remained resolute, eventually serving her with divorce papers. I had been keeping notes on the amount of money lost, so I used that information to create an itemized bill, which I handed over.
Huh? Is it that much?
She seemed surprised, but surely she was aware. Despite her attempts to negotiate and get me to relent, I declared that I wouldn't give up a single cent. Sophia, don't you think it's fortunate that I'm not filing a police report? Even though your family, repeatedly stealing like this would lead to immediate arrest. When I said this firmly, she fell silent, biting her lower lip, and left my presence. Additionally, during the divorce proceedings, Michael demanded alimony from Sophia. A colleague at work recently divorced and recommended a good lawyer. Surprisingly, even in this situation, rumors circulated that Sophia couldn't quit her escort club visits and had accumulated tens of thousands of dollars in debt. I couldn't fathom what drove her to such extremes, but it seemed only a matter of time before things spiraled out of control. As for me, now that I no longer need to work part-time, I quit the supermarket job and spent my days relaxing at home. Although the separate house remained unoccupied, Michael and Liam moved into the second floor of the main house. Michael obtained custody of Liam and became his guardian. My routine remained the same, looking after Liam while Michael worked during the day, but at least I no longer worried about money being taken. Liam will start kindergarten next year. I wonder if Michael has already gone through the procedure? I should ask to be sure, I muttered while flipping pancakes for lunch. Just then, David returned home. Yes, today marked the end of his business assignment, and he was finally back home. It had been weeks since I last saw his face, but he entered the living room with an unusually bright expression, clearly delighted.
I'm home.
Welcome back. Lunch is ready.
Welcome home, Grandpa.
And so began our life together, David, Michael, Liam, and me. It felt truly peaceful. Despite the lingering summer heat, fall was approaching. David, ever eager to play with the kids, suggested,
How about a maple leaf viewing trip during the upcoming long weekend?
I chuckled, considering his age, but I continued making pancakes for him.
How did you like our talk this time? Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
I'm giving you my child. Be grateful.
Standing at the entrance were my in-laws, sister-in-law, and her 2-year-old daughter. Ever since her divorce 6 months ago, she had been pushing her daughter's care onto us. Even my in-laws, instead of stopping her, were trying to get us to take custody of our niece. My husband and I, who had not been blessed with children, found it difficult to raise someone else's child. But what happened next regarding this child was unexpected. I'm Amelia, 27 years old. I got married 3 years ago to a 29-year-old husband, Courage, and we ran a restaurant together. Initially, we planned to expand our family after marriage, but unfortunately, we didn't have any children. Still, thanks to my kind husband, we enjoyed a busy yet happy married life. In fact, since getting married, I had only met my in-laws a handful of times. That's because my husband hadn't been close to his family for a long time. Opening this restaurant only deepened that divide further. My in-laws were executives at a major family restaurant chain, and my sister-in-law, Emma, had joined the company through connections. They wanted my husband to join the same company, but he had dreams.
I want to provide each customer with a dish tailored to them.
Instead of understanding his feelings, Emma and the others treated him like a villain.
Are you criticizing our chain?
They nagged him endlessly, and even after discussions, we remained at an impasse. In the end, my husband gave up trying to convince them.
I want to live as far away from my parents as possible.
If that's what you want, I won't interfere. So, we spent peaceful days as a couple. However, since Emma returned home after her divorce 6 months ago, things changed drastically. It happened on a weekday at lunchtime. As usual, we were attending to customers when the door swung open vigorously.
I'm here again. Ugh, as empty as always.
The loud voice belonged to Emma. She plopped down at a table with her mother and her 2-year-old niece.
They are here again. Always told her not to speak so loudly, didn't I?
You're such a nag. Anyway, bring me the usual lunch set quickly.
She visited us, but my sister-in-law never paid. Honestly, we were at a loss, so we glanced at each other. Then I whispered to him, "I'll go," and stood in front of Emma. Since other customers are here, if you're going to dine here, you need to pay like everyone else.
Huh? Are you seriously planning to charge me and your family? How rude.
Everyone in the restaurant turned to look at her as she shouted, "Please don't raise your voice as it may disturb other customers," I requested, but she didn't listen.
And aren't you the root of it all? It's because James got off track after marrying such a useless woman like you.
Her words of abuse froze the atmosphere in the restaurant. Then my husband, who was cooking, stopped and rushed out of the kitchen.
If you're here to cause trouble, leave now.
If you have something to say, I'll listen later. I'll fix any shortcomings, so please, just. But she continued to ignore our words, just screaming angrily. Even her mother, instead of stopping her, was sitting there saying, "Hurry up and make it." Thinking we couldn't let things continue like this, we served them lunch. After eating, they left without paying, as if it were perfectly normal. Not stopping there, she began to act even more selfishly.
Hey, you two. Take care of our Ava today too.
Every day, she started bringing her niece to our shop.
We're working. You're her mother. Take responsibility and look after her, sis.
Huh. I'm busy. Since there are no customers, help me out a bit.
She forcefully dumped the care of her niece, Ava, onto me. To her, we seemed like free babysitters she could exploit. So, to shirk the responsibility of caring for her daughter, she and her mother frequently started visiting our shop.
I'm truly sorry about my family. Amelia and the shop didn't deserve this.
After they left Ava and went away, James muttered with his shoulders drooped. As she said, our shop wasn't exactly thriving. One reason for that was their disruptive behavior inside. Regular customers, who wanted a quiet meal, gradually stopped coming to our shop. At this rate, it's not fair to James or Ava. I sighed, feeling sorry as I stroked the back of my niece, who was being held quietly. Despite our efforts, a few weeks later, our relationship with my in-laws took a dramatic turn. One evening, after finishing work and returning home, my in-laws and Emma didn't visit our shop but came to our house. As we opened the front door, Emma forcefully pushed Ava into our arms.
I'm giving you my child. Be grateful.
Those words shocked both of us. Wait. What do you mean? Though I wondered if it was harassment toward me, unable to conceive, I questioned her.
You two have nothing to do, right? That's why I'm asking you to be Ava's parents.
Upon hearing her out, it seemed she had finally decided to completely abandon the care of her niece. Not only that, even my in-laws said they didn't want to take care of their granddaughter anymore. James's face turned red with anger at their irresponsibility.
That's too selfish. Are you giving up on Ava?
Don't say such nasty things. I brought her here, thinking of you too, who don't have children.
Although my niece was only 2 years old, she must have sensed something unusual. She anxiously sucked on her finger and looked down. You don't need to worry. Please take her back. To Emma's words, I firmly shook my head. Children should be raised by their mothers. And even a 2-year-old should understand how important her aunt is.
Oh, come on. You, as a daughter-in-law, have no right to refuse.
With such a selfish reason as the hassle of taking care of her, I couldn't agree. I firmly rejected her offer.
Oh, come on. We're busy with work. Besides, a daughter tainted with my ex-husband's blood isn't cute.
At that moment, Emma blurted out those irritating words, and I was greatly shocked. As parents, such words should never be said. And yet, even my in-laws agreed with her and said they felt the same way. Even though you're with them, this child is pitiful. Realizing that, I hugged Ava tightly in my arms. At that moment, my maternal instinct sprouted, and I was overwhelmed by an unprecedented sense of mission to make this child happy. Understood. So, is it okay for Ava to be our child? When I asked firmly, Emma smirked.
Of course. Also, we'll specially sell you baby items and toys. We don't need them anymore, so buy them all.
Behind her tone, which seemed to look down on me, my in-laws were also grinning with unpleasant smiles. They were not only shirking their parental responsibilities but also trying to make money. People who were truly beyond redemption. However, if this meant cutting ties with them, it would be a windfall for us. When I consulted James, he felt the same way as me. Fine, understood. We'll buy everything at your asking price. In return, don't ever show your faces in front of us again. With a determined attitude in my response, she came close to me.
As a daughter-in-law, you're being too arrogant. Even if you don't say it, I'll do it anyway. And then, be prepared for a big bill later.
With just those words, they quickly left. Later on, as Emma declared, she packed Ava's toys and clothes into cardboard boxes and sent them cash on delivery. Inside was a bill for $15,000. With our shop barely attracting customers and our finances in a mess, I can't afford extravagance for Ava, but let's use the savings I've been accumulating since my single days.
But isn't that too much? They're not even brand items. They shouldn't cost that much.
To be honest, I'm worried about depleting my savings. But I think things Ava used to use will make her feel more comfortable. Watching him silently ponder for a while, waiting for his response, he agreed with my opinion.
You're right. It's better to use things she's familiar with than to buy new ones.
Thank you, dear. From now on, let's protect this child together. Thus, we decided to raise Ava as our daughter. From then on, our lives became busy, juggling between running the shop and raising a child. However, with the in-laws no longer visiting, our mental burden decreased, and we always loved children. Above all, Ava was so cute that we were willing to do anything for her. And what changed wasn't just that our family had grown.
It was busy again today.
Yeah. I never expected our shop to have long lines. Returning home after a day's work, we smiled at each other. Surprisingly, our restaurant, which had been struggling to increase sales, was bustling for the first time since opening. The beef stew we recently added to the menu had spread on social media, becoming famous without us knowing. What was curious was how we started offering the beef stew. Never expected to get such a chance from Ava. While gently stroking her head, which could only speak a little, I muttered. While I was thinking of a new menu, Ava suddenly said, "Beef stew." Surprised, and since we hadn't offered beef stew yet, I made the beef tender and used the sauce we always used at the shop. Moreover, just like James always does, I served it in a way that suited each customer. And it unexpectedly became a huge hit. Moreover, whenever I thought of a menu, Ava would whisper lasagna or pudding, and when he arranged them and served them, they were well received. Customers expressed how they wanted to try these kinds of dishes, happily enjoying them. The previous financial difficulties seemed to have disappeared, and our life became more colorful with her. I wonder if Ava has some mysterious power.
Probably. The other day, when I was looking for my glasses, she was staring at the back of the shelf. And when I searched, they were there.
Well, Ava, you're amazing. Of course, thanks to James' arrangements too. As we praised her, Ava and James tilted their heads and then smiled happily. Their appearance was as if they had been parent and child for a long time. I was worried about how things would turn out at first, but if it continues like this, we can give Ava a good life. Even in everyday scenes, I was filled with such happiness. But then, something unbelievable caught our eye.
Huh. Could this be? Take a look at this.
As James opened his phone to check a message, he exclaimed in surprise. Curious, as I peered at the screen, a news article was displayed. And its content shocked me, causing my eyes to widen. What? Is this for real? Furthermore, Ava, who was watching us with a surprised expression, picked up a box of building blocks. Then, she slowly handed the box to us. And when she shook it, we could hear something inside. Could there be something inside this? To such a question, she looked straight into my eyes. Since Ava looks so serious, there must be something. We cautiously looked into the box and were surprised. The anger that had been calm surged up from the bottom of my stomach. Hiding something like this. I can't forgive it. My anger flared up, but we decided to wait for the right time. A few weeks later, in the middle of the night, James and I were awakened by the sound of the doorbell. Not wanting to wake Ava, we cautiously opened the front door to find Emma, disheveled.
Finally. You too. Give me back my daughter right now.
Taken aback by her sudden outburst, we exchanged glances.
You're the one who pushed her on us, right? What are you saying now?
In the first place, we agreed you wouldn't show up again. If you have a reason, you should have told us first. As we tried to refuse and close the door, Emma forcefully wedged her foot to keep it open.
She's my flesh and blood. Her mother has come to take her back, so bring her here now.
Though we firmly said we couldn't do that, she insisted on returning our daughter. Not only did we not understand her reasoning, but continuing this argument would disturb the neighbors. Frustrated by Emma's selfishness, I sighed heavily and crossed my arms. Could you please not take it out on us just because your company is in trouble?
Why would you say that?
I saw it on the news. It seems tough for you. Perhaps she didn't expect me to know, but Emma turned red with frustration or embarrassment. Watching her like that, I recalled the news I saw on James's phone the other day. It was about a scandal at the chain store where my in-laws worked. They had been using expired ingredients to cut costs, leading to a mass food poisoning incident. As a result, they faced severe criticism from the media and social media, and the chain store's performance plummeted.
We never had any problems before, but this happened after we gave up our daughter. It must be because she's gone.
Emma shouted in anger, her face contorted as if she had suffered greatly.
What are you talking about? Ava has nothing to do with it, right?
No, she's involved. Ever since then, we've been through hell.
According to Emma, their misfortunes didn't stop there. Her mother lost a wallet with a large sum of money. Her father got into a car accident and had to pay $3,000 in compensation to the other party. And a series of depressing events kept happening. and Emma began to insist that Ava was the cause of it all.
Your shop has been thriving since you took in Ava, right? It can only mean that girl is involved.
Those words made us fall silent involuntarily. I won't say everything that happened in my in-laws' house was her fault, but I couldn't deny that there was something mysterious about that child. While luck continued to favor us, trouble was brewing in my in-laws' house. I wonder if we should help them a little. Even though they had caused us distress, it was painful to see people suffer. Just as I was about to speak, Emma began shouting again.
With her around, we'd be fine. This misfortune is going to fall on you.
While we held her back from entering the house, my fleeting sympathy vanished in an instant. We will never give Ava to you.
Even though it's only been a few months, we cherish Ava as our child.
To demand we hand over our precious child for your benefit, we can't possibly agree to that. We glared at her with stern expressions.
Shut up. Shitty wife.
Don't you dare speak ill of my wife. Your greed is ugly.
I am far more devoted to Ava than ever will be. No matter what you do, I won't give her up, so please leave. Above all, I couldn't forgive Emma for treating our precious daughter like a commodity. And our shop thrived because James tailored each dish to suit individual tastes. To make the most of the hints from Ava, my husband served dishes with flavors like rich, light, or a little spicy to cater to each person's preference. And the presentation varied as well. For women who wanted to post on Instagram, edible flowers were sprinkled, while for hearty eaters, large portions were served, which became a topic of conversation, and our shop flourished.
Even so, without Ava, you wouldn't have lines outside, would you?
While Emma had a point, I strongly believed that James's consideration for customers was the real driving force behind our success.
Return my money-making daughter.
To call Ava that way is contemptible.
He stared at Emma with a look that seemed to say, pitiful. No matter how much you cry or scream, my feelings won't change, so please give up. I don't want to see your face anymore. Quietly angry, I handed her a USB, with no intention of leaving. Wasn't it because of things like this that misfortune happened, not because of our daughter? In the next moment, Emma's face turned pale as she looked at the USB.
That's the one our parents and I have been searching for. Why do you have it?
It came out of the toys. It might have some value that I bought from you. That USB was in the box Ava handed to me at that time. Given the mysterious power so far, I was convinced there was always a reason she held it. Upon checking, the data on it turned out to be for the hidden books. Receipts from suppliers, and evidence of tampering to inflate prices, were there. It seemed my in-laws, who were executives, were managing the procurement of materials. Abusing that position, they overcharged the company for purchases from suppliers and embezzled the difference. Moreover, calculating the data on the USB, the embezzled amount was $1 million. Ava must have sensed something and hid the USB, which was crucial to my in-laws, among the building blocks.
Even though we couldn't find it after turning the house upside down. Unbelievable.
We're the ones who are surprised. What on earth are you doing?
Shut up. Don't look at the contents. Give it back.
Emma, who snatched the USB from my hand, looked relieved. I've already contacted your company about this. Realizing it was too late, Emma began to tremble at my words.
This. If embezzlement gets exposed, our lives are over.
And then, her initial confidence vanished. and she collapsed, sobbing.
I apologize for everything. So please, call the company and tell them it was a mistake.
I shook my head decisively and looked at her with a cold gaze.
Not just me, but our parents will also be in big trouble. Please, help us.
No matter how much she begged, it wouldn't erase her attitude or her crimes. Looking at James, he muttered, "Absolutely unforgivable. There's nothing more we can do. Accept reality and give up." When I told the sobbing Emma that, she started dialing the phone with trembling hands. The voices of my in-laws could be heard. After she explained the situation so far, there was a scream of "What?" Then they told me to switch with them. As soon as I picked up the phone, my in-laws pleaded with me repeatedly, "Please do something, and I beg you." I listened silently, but after a while, I took a deep breath and said this. "Hey, you guys. Please pay for the sins you've committed. Goodbye." With just that, I ended the call and handed my phone to Emma.
Think about it again. If you want to raise Ava, I'll give her to you. Is that okay?
Surely, no matter how much we talk, we won't understand each other. Please leave as you're causing trouble. If you don't go back, I'll call the police. Emma flinched and stepped back, so I mercilessly closed the front door. Peeking from the upstairs window, she walked away slowly, her back gradually disappearing into the distance. Our ties are truly cut now. Afterward, my in-laws and sister-in-law were reported to the police by the company for tampering with receipts and embezzling money. Of course, they were fired from the company. It seems they'll be living behind bars for a while. Even if they get out, they'll still have to repay the embezzled $1 million. They'll be struggling with debt for a long time. Truly, they've reaped what they've sown. Meanwhile, we officially adopted Ava through adoption. We continue to run the restaurant while watching Ava grow. And as always, our shop continues to thrive. The extent of this child's power is still unknown. But whether she has a mysterious power or not, James and I will continue to love Ava more than anyone else. She's already our precious, precious daughter. How did you find this story? Please subscribe to the channel as well. Well then, let's meet in the next video.